Okay, I know it's been a little while since we've shared anything, but I wanted to fill you guys in that we planted an orchard. And then this happened 2 weeks later. Okay, so we planted 9 apple trees. We have 2 Norlands right there. So I think those 2 are Zestars. Then Lodi's. And a couple more around front. But as you can see, we've got some decent snow drifts. They're bareroot apple trees from Costco. They're really light and easy to transport, and they're also very inexpensive. I was ready to have to invest 100 plus for each tree, and instead it was $16 per tree. So for all 8-9 trees that we got, would have been the price of 1, maybe 2 trees. And the Norland and the Lodi apple trees are good for zone 2. And the Zestar and the Wealthy apples are good for zone 3, and the Honeycrisp is good down to a zone 4. Just to give you guys a little picture of how harsh our climate is here, this next video was taken 1 month before we planted the apple trees. I'm not sure how long the camera's gonna last, but we have some frozen pipes this morning. So they were working earlier, so they haven't been frozen for very long. So we're getting a heater down in our crawl space right now. It's about -30 to -40 with wind chill right now. We also average 15 to 16 inches of precipitation each year. And so our biggest challenges weather-wise are severe cold and windy conditions. Okay, so a little rundown of the different factors that we considered when planting these trees. For sun exposure, we opted to put the trees on the east and southern sides of our house. Plenty of exposure for the majority of the day. For wind protection, we planted the trees in a row going north-south, as our winds are usually north-south, so hopefully the trees block the next one in the row. And down by our house, it is lower in the property, and it can be a 5 to even 10 mile an hour difference from the tallest point on the property. We wanted to also make sure that we didn't plant the trees in a relative low spot where all the cool air collects. Type of soil, we didn't really know this until we started digging the holes, but about half of the trees are planted in pretty well draining soil, more of a sandy composition. And then the other half, which was the lower spots where we planted, they had a little bit more clay in the soil. Protection from wildlife, we're not going to fence our orchard, which might be a big mistake, but we opted to put the trees really close to our house instead. We opted for 15 feet apart because they're semi-dwarf trees, and they'll typically grow to about 12 feet wide and 12 feet tall. It might be a little bit smaller here just because of the harsh climate, but we'll see on that. And then we lucked out and we saw that about half of them are early blooming, and there's a couple that are like mid-season or late bloomers. We're pretty confident that they'll do well pollinating each other. For the actual planting of the trees, we just followed the instructions on the bag. I mentioned to soak the roots in water while you dig the hole. Dig the hole wide enough to make sure that the roots aren't obstructed by the hole, and that they have plenty of room to spread out. A couple things that we did different though, we added a little bit of composting soil. It was actually really just a generic bag of potting mix meant for outdoor plants. And then we also sprinkled in 1 tablespoon of mycorrhiza. I don't know if I even said that right, but this is what we used. And we did that on all of them. So one lucky tree, first tree we planted, one of the Norlands actually got a dead mouse in the bottom of the hole as well. So if that one does really well, then we will definitely add dead mice into every single tree that we plant in the future. We hope that we get a decent crop from these in probably 5 years. Who knows? But we thought we'd start it now and bring you guys along. Baby Anna is making a decent amount of background noise. So, oh, and a stinky diaper. I'm gonna stop this.